Okay, so we've sewn on our facings, and remember you're going to do that by putting right sides together, and you're going to match up your seams right here. Can you kind of get a seams so that they line up? You're going to match up your notches so that they line up. You're going to pin it down all the way around and then stitch it. And remember down here in the V where you have to draw the line with the pin that's going to erase with the iron so that you can see where to go. So once that's sewn on, it says in the directions that you're going to grade and clip. And remember, grading is when you take your scissors, and I've already done a little bit right there, and you're going to hold your scissors at an angle, and you're going to cut about half of your seam allowance off. And these aren't that sharp, so I'm going to switch to the gingers because I don't want to mess it up. So I'm holding my scissors at an angle, and I'm clipping out about half of the seam allowance. So once I do that all the way around, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to clip it. And clipping is when you cut to but not through that line of stitching. So you want to get close, but you don't want to go all the way through it. And you want to do that about every half an inch apart. You want to do that also all the way around. Okay, so this part, would just let it, I'm going to edit this part out later, but so now I'm going to You didn't get done? Are you going to come back tomorrow?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's right now.
So I'll have this video posted, and it'll have the hand stitching on there too, so you can finish it
Should I
up.
take my third with me then? Are you going to post it today?
I'm going to post it today, yeah, but you know, the shirt isn't due until Monday.
Okay,
So
I'll
you
just
can
do
watch it
after
over the
that.
weekend. Yeah. I'll email it to y'all too. Did you get the sleeves done, Mariana? Mariana, did you get the sleeves done? Okay, so now work on the bottom. The bottom you're going to do the same exact way.
So the 1.5.
Half an inch, yeah. Okay, so we're back. So now we're going to take this and press it over where you're taking both pieces of the seam allowance and pressing it to your facing, just like this. And I'll be RB. Or if you want to come show this, pressing it down with our iron, just the seam allowance only to the facing, just like that. So now we're going to machine under stitch. So I'm going to start at the point here on one side. I'm going to put all of that up under the presser foot. And I'm matching up the edge of the presser foot with this line of stitching right here. Matching up the edge of the presser foot with this line of stitching. Then I'm going to move my needle one click over so that I can get closer to this line of stitching. And then I'm just going to stitch it down. Just a little note about this, if you want to film, just a little note about this. So I'm using white thread in the bobbin and on top because all of my stuff is white, but let's say that you used a contrasting fabric for this piece right here. What if I had used a gray piece? Then I wouldn't want to use white thread in the bobbin because then this line of stitching that is showing, see that right now? It would stand out like a sore thumb. So you want to make sure that whatever color your facing is, that's what color thread you're using, at least in the bobbin, because the bobbin thread is the one that's going to show on the top. As I'm going, I'm making sure that all this extra fabric is out of my way, that nothing's creeping up under there, and that my seam allowances are laying down like I want them to. Whenever it wants to roll up on me like that, then I just pick up my presser foot, shove it back where I want it to go, and then keep on sewing. Close to the other point here, and that's where I started, so I'm going to stop at the end of this point. Okay, so you can see that it's oh, I got a little crooked there, but you can see that it is machine understitched all the way around. So for right now, we're done with this part. We're just gonna shove that back in here and move on. So now you're going to finish off your sleeves like I showed y'all in class. So it's gonna be rolled under where everything's gonna be on the inside of your sleeve. And the way that you're gonna do that is you're gonna take your raw edge sleeve like this. Let me unpin that. Take your seam allowance ruler, put it on 1/2 inch, which is right there, that first big long line, and you're gonna measure 1/2 inch and fold the fabric over to the 1/2 inch, and then you're gonna press. And you're gonna do that all the way around in a circle. 1/2 inch press all the way around. Then you're going to come back and you're going to take it and fold it on top of itself, right there on top of itself at 1/2 inch. See? And then you're going to pin on the outside. So let's pretend like this is pinned all the way around. Then we're going to slide this little thing off again. Slide this sleeve right here. Line up the edge of the sleeve with the edge of the presser foot. Make sure your needle is back in the middle position. And then you're gonna just stitch all the way around in the round. And you're gonna back stitch at the beginning and the end of your stitch. At the end, you're gonna have a sleeve that looks just like this. Everything is tucked up in there and nice and neat. Okay, so that's your sleeve. The last part, well, the next to last part, is the bottom. So you're gonna take the sides here where they naturally want to fold over, and you're gonna let them fold over and you're gonna press them. And then you're gonna pin them on the right side of your fabric. Pin them down. Pretend like I pressed this. And then on the edge here, you're going to take this, and again, 1/2 inch, you're gonna fold it down 1/2 inch and press it. Pretend like we're pressing it. And then you're gonna fold it again at 1/2 inch and press it again. And you're going to pin it again on the right side of the fabric. This way. All the way down. Pinning this side down. Pinning that side down, and then again on this other side. So this side is finished. It's sewn down. So once you get it all pinned like this, you're going to take it and put it in your machine with right side up. Line it up against the edge of your presser foot like we did before, and you're going to back stitch at the beginning, and when you get to a curve here or a point, you're going to pivot. And remember, you put your needle down, pick up your presser foot, then turn the fabric to pivot, and then you're just going to keep on going. And when you get to the vents, the top of the vents here, remember I used pin and class to show y'all how I pivoted at the top of the vents. Also, this example is going to be on the mannequin over there so that you guys can look at it anytime. Alright, so the very last part of your project is the hand stitching. To do the hand stitching, you're going to get one of these needles out of your kit here. Okay, and you're just going to use whatever color your facing is. I'm going to use some thread. I'm not going to be able to do it now that you're filming me. There we go. Okay, so thread your needle. For the facings, for this part right here at the shoulder seam, you're going to go underneath of your seam allowance, right there, and you're going to come up, oops, come up through the facing. You're going to leave a little tail, about that long. And then you're going to go back down through the facing, scoot over a little bit, go back down through the facing, and then come back out the back side. Now you can tie your knot. So you're going to tie it about twice. And then you're going to leave that tail. We're going to use that again in a minute. Okay, so now I'm going to scoot down here, and I'm going to do, the important part here is that you don't really want it to show here, but that's okay if it shows here as long as it's not showing on this side. We don't ever want to come through to the right side of the fabric. We want to keep everything on the facing and the seam allowance. So I'm going over a little, and I'm going to come back down and out. You just want to do that a few times in and out on that one side. Then you're going to take your needle and you're going to go through these two seam allowances right here, like that. Sneak up under there, come out on the other side, and now you're going to pop back up through this seam allowance and this facing. And you're just going to do that a couple of times. In and out, in and out. And every time I'm making sure that I'm not going through that PJ top fabric, just the seam allowance and the facing. Okay, then to finish this off, I'm just gonna sneak back through here again. And back out, and then I'm gonna find my little tail from the beginning, and I'm gonna tie a knot with my little tail. And then I can snip this excess off, and that part is done. Okay, so you're going to do your other shoulder seam the same way. This part right here, you are going to take and fold under. By the way, you want to fold this under and press it real good before you do all of this. I'm just trying to get it done real fast to show you, but so you would want to, actually I'm going to go and press this. I'll be right back. You might want to stand right here.
Me? Me or her?
You.
Okay.
And you come stand over here so you can see too. Okay, so I've pressed that. I've turned it and I've pressed it, and it looks a whole lot neater now. And now I know how far I need to stitch this thing down because I've got it pressed neatly. So I'm gonna kind of just go like this, and then just to hold it in place while I'm stitching, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to. Okay, so this time I'm going to start by tying a knot just to my facing. I'm going to anchor, I'm going to anchor my knot only on my facing. And the reason I'm going to do that is because this time there is no seam allowance for us to stitch to. We're going to have to stitch to the actual fabric that is going to show right here at the very front of our shirt. So if I put a big knot there, it's going to show and it's going to look bad. So we don't want to do that. So you anchor your knot onto your facing. Leave your little tail. Then you're going to hold it down. Can you get kind of close? Okay. And you want to pick up just one thread. Can y'all see that? If you pick up one thread and you go to the back side here, you don't even see where I have that. That's my pin. You can't even see where my needle went. That's good. That means you're not going to be able to see my thread after I sew that down. So I'm going to go through that one thread and I'm going to pull my thread in, and then I'm going to go back up to my facing again, and I'm going to go back out of my facing again, and then I'm going to come back under here and I'm going to pick up one thread in a different spot. See how I'm kind of skipping around? I don't want to keep picking up one thread in the same spot because then eventually it will show again, which we don't want. So we go like this, up at the top, and then back out. And y'all can see how I'm kind of skipping around on this facing. That's okay. And one of the reasons that it's okay is because it's never going to show because I'm using white. So then I'm going to do one more little one string stitch. Then I'm going to come back out of my facing right there. And then here's my string that I originally started with. So I'm going to come get a little bit closer to where my string is. And then I'm going to take these two and tie a knot. See how I'm only using one thickness of thread? Even though I have it folded over, you're only sewing with the one thickness. And that keeps it from showing on the front side too. So now I'm just going to kind of straighten all of this back out, pull on it a little bit, and then let's see what we have on the front side. See, you can barely even see where it's kind of been sewn. I can take out my pen and cut my strings. Okay, so now film me. So now you're done with your PJ top. Remember, if it has any marks on it, like see right here, mine has these marks from the yellow tracing paper. So I really should wash mine before I turn it in. If it doesn't have marks, then don't worry about it. You want to press it really good, hang it on a hanger, attach your reflection paper to the to your PJ top, and then hang it over there on the rack. And these are due on Monday.